hear me, everyone?
Yes.
All right. How was yesterday's session?
I think they've muted their audio.
Can you see me?
I think there are some students have thing. Okay. The yesterday's session was good. It was great. I think, but for some students, they might have a problem because some internet connection problem and all that. But I think they can live stream. They can check on Facebook, so they can pause and they can forward or rewind whatever they want to. So I think it's better. It's good because we can't go slow also since it's a 1 hour session, no. So some students are fast learners, they can learn better, but some students are slow learners. For those, at least Facebook is there, so they can, go through that once again if they want to.
All right. I've also put it on YouTube on my channel.
Oh yeah, I saw it today. Yes. I will share that.
Sure.
Yeah.
Today's session is going to be on how to, the basics of building a website.
Yes.
So we'll be covering the basics of HTML, which is the language used to write websites and build websites.
Yes.
And we'll also be looking at how to design websites. So adding colors and all, adding layouts, adding images and all. And we'll also be looking at JavaScript, which is a language to use we use when we need interactivity in websites. So
Okay.
suppose someone is clicking a button, what should he do? So
Yeah.
those kinds of behaviors are handled using JavaScript.
Okay.
So we'll be looking at that also.
Good morning, Isa.
Morning.
Good morning, Nang Roy.
Morning.
Yeah. Morning. Okay, before we begin, I just wanted to, maybe ask a few questions or maybe feedback so that Sir Kabyanil can also, hear from you. What, as students, what are your feedbacks from yesterday's session?
It was great.
Yeah, it was good.
So, what did you learn yesterday? Was it, be honest, was it quite boring or was it interesting?
Interesting.
Or it was interesting. Okay. So actually we'll be learning more about the internet, how the internet works today, about since already told you, we'll be learning about web designing, about JavaScript and all that. So we'll tell you more about it, okay? So please be attentive also, since it's online, there might be distractions here and there. But I hope that all of you will be attentive, all right? We'll be waiting for, sir, I think I will be waiting for more participants. Okay,
Yeah,
Sir
sure.
Kabyanil. Sir Banjab is also not here. I think he'll be joining us soon.
Sure.
Yeah, just to spend some time, I have some questions for the attendees. Did you yesterday enjoyed how quickly or how interestingly Kabinil solved the Rubik's cube? And would you like to learn that as well? Because Rubik's cube is something which is very interesting. It is
Yeah.
scientific
You can
because
also solve it.
yeah, please continue.
You can also solve a Rubik's Cube.
Oh, that's really nice.
I think you can show us.
Actually, Kabinil is not just a Rubik's Cube world champion. He is a blind Rubik's Cube champion, and
Yeah.
he has like materials for teaching advanced level Rubik's Cube solvers, and he teaches speed cubing, which is like you solve the Rubik's Cube very fast. So maybe
Yeah.
if you already know how to solve Rubik's Cube, maybe you'll be interested in speed cubing as well.
Yeah.
Kabinil, can you show us a demo?
Yeah, sure. So I always have a Rubik's cube with me. So I showed you yesterday only. Today, let's do something different. Okay. So I solved the cube using both of my hands yesterday, right? So let's do something else. So let's try to solve the cube using only one hand. So this is called one-handed solving, and I hope you can see my cube. I have randomly scrambled the cube. Okay, it's totally random, and let's see if I can solve the cube using one hand only. Done.
Oh, wow.
Great. I think you can teach us someday, about all this.
Yeah,
I think
sure.
myself,
Yeah,
I can solve only one side of the Rubik's Cube. I cannot solve all of them, all the sides.
yeah, there are a few techniques that we use to solve. Actually, the basic is using algorithms. So just like in math or in algebra, we have many algorithms or formulae. So in Rubik's cubes also we have many algorithms. So we just have to know, for instance, in the beginner's method, there are only 10 to 12 algorithms that we need to memorize, and we can solve the cube. But for the method I use now, there are hundreds of algorithms. So the more you know, the faster you can solve. Like that.
It's all mathematics.
And I also hold a Guinness World Record, which is actually an unofficial event. The record is called most number of Rubik's cubes solved in an hour by a team. So we had a team of 9 members, all from India, and we attempted to solve the maximum number of Rubik's cubes we can under 1 hour. So we solved 2,454 Rubik's cubes in 1 hour, and I personally solved 274 cubes. So that is the current Guinness
Wow.
World Record.
Yeah.
Wow.
It's still unbeaten, and we beat the previous record by a margin of 594 cubes. So the previous record was held by a team from Italy. It was called Cubing Italy, and they were able to solve 1,860 cubes in an hour.
Okay, great. Maybe when this lockdown is over, maybe you could come to Shillong and to our innovation hub
Yeah.
and can hold a workshop of students.
Yeah, so I have a team of cubers, and we generally do workshops in universities like Dibrugarh University, then in colleges like Jorhat Engineering College in Assam, and we are trying to expand it to Northeast. So Meghalaya would be a really good place to start expanding.
Yes. Yes. We're looking forward to that.
Back
But
in
then,
yeah,
Yeah.
back in 2014, I was the only one who was playing this sport in the entire Northeast region. And right now, a few months back, I went to NIT Nagaland and did a seminar there on Rubik's Cube. and I was surprised to see a few students were able to solve the cube already. So I was able to organize an unofficial competition right there.
It's great, no? It's nice. Actually, most people, like when they have Rubik's cube at home, they just just keep it over there in the corner. Like if they want to, they'll
Yeah,
solve, but
yeah,
they really don't enjoy it. So I think if we get more
yeah.
techniques, if you learn more, maybe it'll be
Mhm.
actually it's like exercising our minds also for that, rather than just
Yeah,
sitting and
yeah.
nothing. Yes, yes.
Exactly. And the thing is that it is really easily available and it is really portable. So for football to be played, you need a field, right? But for the
Yes, yes.
Rubik's Cube to be played, you only need the Rubik's Cube. And it's so small that you can carry it anywhere with you. And
Yeah.
the thing is that when you practice Rubik's Cubes, your logical thinking and your intelligence also grows. So for later on in your lives, if you are going into mathematics or computer programming, it's really helpful. And not only for those subjects, but also for building your memory and your concentration levels. The Rubik's Cube is really helpful.
Yeah, yeah. Great. So I think students are here. We have Isakaru, Ryan, um, Risakaben. So I think we can start, no? So you there? Yes.
Yeah, yeah, I am.
Yeah. I think we can begin.
All right. My internet connection is unstable. It is showing that.
Oh, okay.
Kabinil, can you
Yeah.
shut the curtain behind you? There's a white glow coming from behind.
Mm-hmm. All right. Is it better now?
Yeah, it's better. By the way, Kabinil's father is a very good painter and he's a innovative artist, and he also teaches yoga in the Guwahati Central Jail to the
Mm-hmm.
people who are inside, and
Okay.
and boosts their morale and their uh, like he stabilizes the mental health issues of prisoners. So that's
Mm.
really good. So maybe one day we can even have like a
Yes.
yoga session or something,
Yeah,
innovative
yeah, yeah.
teaching session in there as well, like Innovation Hub, and
Yeah.
Kapil's father can take the session.
Yeah, so, Banjop and I were really discussing about, Sir Kabyanal and yourself. But then due to this lockdown, everything is, confused and everything is going haywire. We just don't know what to do. So thank God that,
Yeah.
this online thing is, at least it's working right now. Even if it's,
Yeah.
there are some flaws here and there regarding internet connections and participants and all that. But at least it's somehow, helpful for all of us, for me, myself, and then for the participants as well. Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm.
Thank you so much. Kamil, you can start the session actually. It's already
Yes,
10.
yes.
All right, sure. All right, so I'll just share my screen right now. I hope you can see my screen. Okay, so you guys can hear me, right?
Yes.
Oh, all right, okay. So yesterday we looked at how the technologies that were used to make the internet functioning, right? So today we'll be looking at a different part of this huge world. Okay, so today we'll be looking at how the websites are built. So we are generally, when we are web searching, suppose when we go to google.com, we get this page, right? So how is this page working? uh, why is it looking like the way it is, right? So we'll be looking at that. And also it is not just plain plain text or something. It is having some kind of colors and designs and rounded corners, and the text text is blue and there is an underline when you put your cursor over it. So how these things are working, we'll be looking at that today. So the backbone of internet web pages are built using a language called HTML. Okay, so HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language, and you can actually take some notes if you want, because later on you'll be needing this informations. And on day 4, we'll be looking at how to build actual web pages for building your online portfolio page. Okay, so it would be useful if you can keep notes of the important things. So HTML is a stand-up markup language for web pages. I'm just opening a simple website. This website is really popular for learning HTML and CSS, JavaScript, and all the web technologies. And if you want, you can just write it down. This website's name, it is w3schools.com. Okay, so this is a very standard and probably the most popular website for learning HTML and web programming in general. Okay, so HTML stands for Hypertext Markup Language. So it is a standard markup language for web pages. Okay, so with HTML you can create your own website, and it is very easy to learn. Okay, so I have some examples with me. I have already written the code to save some time, and I'll be just demonstrating what all this code means. Okay, so it might be looking a bit confusing at first, but believe me, it is really easy. So this is a simple text editor. I hope you have your laptop or computer at home, and you must have used Notepad, right? So
Yes, sir.
it is a similar software like Notepad, but there are some features that helps in developing HTML and CSS and JavaScript and all. So this website, this piece of text will result in this page. Okay, so here you can see I have a text. It is this showing hello from Kadbia. Okay, and there is a cute little puppy here. So how is this page working? We'll be looking at that now. Okay, so the first line here, I'm just highlighting with my cursor. This is saying doc type HTML. Okay, so whenever you see something like this bracket, I'm just writing it down. These kinds of brackets, it is called a tag. Suppose for example HTML. So whenever you see these brackets and some text enclosed in these brackets, this is called a tag. Okay, so whenever we write HTML documents, we use the HTML tag. So this piece of line specifies that this current document is an HTML document. Okay, so we write HTML and the language is English. Okay, we can write different languages here only, but for our purposes we'll write English. Okay, and then we'll be using a title. It is saying hello world. Okay, so where is this title showing? It is showing right up here on the tab. Okay, so on your browser you'll see this tab. It is saying hello world. So let's try to change this a little bit. Okay, so let's for example hello from my name, or suppose innovation hub. All right, so let's save this, and you see this tab, the title of the web page has changed. Okay, so this title page, this title tag is changing the title of the web page. Okay, let's move on to the body part. So whenever you see a body tag, this portion means that you are going to design the actual web page. So this, all these white spaces you see, this is called the body of the web page. Okay, so this is the body. So whatever you want to show in your web page, you'll have to write in your body tag. Okay, so this is the starting body tag, and whenever we put a slash before the body tag, it is called the enclosing tag. Okay, so we have started our body portion right here on line 7th, and it is continuing till line 16th. Okay, so this is the body portion, which is the actual web page that we want to show or build. Okay, so we first have a heading, hello from Katya. Okay, so this is the one resulting in this line of text. Okay, so if we change this, suppose cute lab puppy. Okay, you see this text has changed. Okay, so this is the most basic layout of HTML. Okay, so we are using H1. So there are 6 levels of headings. If we want to use a smaller size of text, we can use H2, and it is getting smaller, right? So let's see if we can see it right here easily. If we change this to H3, you see the text has changed. Okay, let's put it back to H1. So there are 6 levels of headings. Okay, so H1, the text has gotten bigger. Okay, below the heading we have an image tag. Okay, so I have written a comment here, insert images using image tag. Okay, so this is the image tag, and there we need to specify the image we want to show in our web page. Okay, so currently I have this website, uh, www.thelabradorsite.com, and the image name is this one. Okay, so let's change this image. Okay, so I'll go to Google and I'll type cat images. Okay, okay, so I'll just select this one, just a random image. Okay, and I'll just copy the image address and I'll paste it right here. It's quite long. Okay, let's change. Let's take a different one because it might not work, I guess. Let's oh, okay, wait a second. My internet is kind of slow today, so it is taking a bit of time. Let's open this image. I'm just getting to the image. Okay, so let's see if I can put this one on my web page. Yeah, so there you go. There was a cat, there was a dog, and now you see a cat. Okay, so I just replaced the image on my website. So that is how you can use the image tag to display images on your web pages. Okay, so that is the most basic use of HTML. Let's go to the second example. Okay, so I have a few examples here that I'll be showing you. All right, Okay, we'll be looking at how to insert paragraphs in your website. Okay, so there might be times when you are building a blog, suppose, and you want to show some text. Okay, so how you will do that is this. So the things above the body tag are the same. So we have the HTML declaration here, and we're using the English language, and the head part is specifying the title of the tab that there will be displayed here. Okay, so paragraph example is coming from here. Okay, so if I change this one to my blog, suppose, it will be changed here. Okay, I hope all of you can see that. And let's go to the body part. Okay, so there's this line that is not clearly visible, right? So this is called a comment. So whenever you're designing something or building a website or any kind of program, it starts as a very small program, and as you gradually build up your program, it will get very big. Okay, so whenever you're doing a huge project, you'll need commenting or documentation of your project. Okay, so comments can help you to understand what a piece of code means. Okay, so it is a good practice to put comments on your projects, so that you can when you visit your project later on, for suppose after 6 months of building the project, whenever you revisit your project, you will be able to understand what a piece of code means. Okay, so that is why we use comments. So HTML also supports comments, and I have one comment here that I'm highlighting. They're saying that without using paragraph tags. Okay, so in HTML, for displaying paragraphs, we have the paragraph tag. Okay, that is denoted by this P. Okay, P for paragraph. So if we do not specify a paragraph tag, and we simply just write our text here, it will be shown like this, the first one. Okay, this paragraph. Okay, but where the problem is when you want to put a new line. Suppose here I have split my paragraph into 2 paragraphs. Okay, so the previous one paragraph is split into 2. So if I want to add a new line in this part of my paragraph, and if I put just simply put new line myself like this, it will not work. Okay, it will go back to being a single paragraph only. So how do we solve this problem? We can do this using separate paragraph tags. Okay, so the comment you can see the using paragraph tags. So there is one more comment below which is saying that multiple paragraph tags add spacing between each other. Okay, so we can see that there are a few paragraph tags, and this single paragraph tag represents a single paragraph. Okay, so this is one paragraph, the first one, this is second, and this is third. Okay, so we have 3 paragraphs in total. Okay, let's just comment this for ease of understanding. We have 3 paragraphs right here. Okay, you can see the new line is visible right here. Okay, so there are 3 different paragraphs. If we remove these paragraphs, the formatting will be gone. See, there were 3 paragraphs. If we remove this last paragraph tag also, we'll see that this becomes one single paragraph, right? So that is not something we want. We want different paragraphs, right? So we use the P tags so that we can see different paragraphs. Okay, all right, so I hope it is not very difficult to understand. Let's look at how to put links to your web pages. Okay, so the third example will be on links. Okay, how to put links. I'll just load the third example. By the way, if you have any questions, just ask me right away. I'll be explaining it again. So the third example says link tag example. Okay, so this is showing right here, link tag example. and in the body portion we have a different kind of tag. This is a new tag for us, right? So we have seen p tags only as of now. Okay, so this is a new tag. This is called the anchor tag. Okay, so anchor means whenever we want to put an address of some other website or some other web page, like let me show you an example. Okay, so in the Google homepage, you can see there are different links. Okay, so I can go to my Gmail, I can go to images, right? So these are called links. So you can specify other websites on your web page. Okay, so how can you do that? We can use the anchor tag to do that. Okay, so anchor tag accepts a property called href. Okay, href, whenever you use links, you need to specify your link in the href property. Okay, so I have specified a link right here, and if I visit my web page now, I can see visit my web page. Where is this coming? This is coming from this portion of text. Okay, visit my web page. If I write something else, visit my blog, suppose, it will show visit my blog. Okay, and the underline is added by default by HTML language, so we can click and it will load the web page. Okay, so one more thing you can notice that when my cursor is changing, right? Whenever I hover on the link, my cursor is going from the cursor to a clickable hand, right? So that is when you know that some text is having a link to an external website. All right, let's look at headings. Let's just quickly open the fourth example. You can see there are different levels of headings. Okay, on the first example, we saw the H1 and H2 and H3. There are 6 levels of headings. So depending upon your requirement, you can choose from H1 to H6. Okay, H1 is the biggest and H6 is the smallest among them. Okay, so the title I have specified is headings example, which is showing here headings example. In the body portion, we have a comment. HTML supports 6 levels of headings. Okay, so in HTML language, by default, you have 6 levels of headings: H1, H2 to H6. Okay, so if I just change to suppose Rubik's Cube. Okay, this is changing. So and if I change this one, this simple heading. Okay, so the last one is changing, and this is the smallest one, this is the biggest one. Okay, so that is the basics of headings. And the colors you see, these are all in black, right? So there are not any styles applied right now. Okay, so these are the default colors that HTML provides us. Okay, and if we want, we can change these colors, and we'll be looking at how to change the colors and all, okay, later. So that is done with the use of another language called CSS that is used to design your web page. Okay, the next one is table. So this will be really helpful if you want to build a table in your web page. What are tables? Tables are some kind of layouts. Okay, so you can see, if I zoom in, you can see earlier we were looking at text that were aligned from left to right, but now we can see there is some spacing, and the first 3 numbers are on the top and the last 3 numbers are on a new line. Okay, so on the bottom. Okay, so this is done using a layout called tables. So this is what the code looks like. So this part is the same in every page. You just need to specify the heading right here. So okay, so let's change this to tables example, and this is going to change to tables example. Okay, so in the body part, I have one comment. So HTML supports table format using tags. Okay, so we can use HTML tags to specify our table. Okay, so in table we use table tag. Okay, so this is a tag that is saying table. Okay, inside that table tag, this tag is up on till here. Okay, from line 10 to line 31. Okay, so this table tag will have rows. Okay, so what are rows? Rows are these. Okay, so this is one row or horizontal row, and this is one horizontal row. Okay, so these are specified using the tr tag. Tr means table row. Okay, and inside table row we can specify anything we want. So td means table data. Okay, so if I want to add one more table data, we can just type 4 and it will show up here. Okay, there are no limits to this. You can add as many as you want. New table data, so this will appear here. Okay, notice that this is only appearing on the first row because we are specifying the table data, this new data, inside the first table row. Okay, so if I put this line on this, if I want to put this line on the second row, after 6 I need to put this table data on my second table row tag. Okay, so now you can see this is appearing here. Similarly, we can add more table rows if we want. So we just have 2 rows as of now. If I want to add more, we can add more. So let's just copy one row from the top, paste it here. You can see one new row has been added. All right, suppose you want to build a calculator, okay, on calculator website. So how will you do that? One more, you can put the table data. You'll need 3, and on the middle one, you can put 0. So this is this can be used as a calculator. If you want, you can put the plus and minus signs and multiplication and all right here using the table tag. So I hope this is clear to you. All right, let's look at the next example. So till now, do you have any doubts?
No, sir.
All right. All right, let's look at this next example. Okay, so this is called Google search example. I'll just open this one. I'll just zoom out a bit. Okay, all right. Okay, so this one is Google search example. Okay, so it is a kind of hack that we're doing right now. So we have we can see on our website that we have a search bar. Okay, so there's a button called search, and there's a field that we can type anything on. Okay, so if I type cat and press enter, it will go to the Google image, Google search engine. Okay, so how are you doing that? Let's look at the web page, and we'll see here that inside the body tag we have a new tag. So this is called form. Okay, so whenever we want to add some kind of form that people can use to submit their information or something, we can use the HTML form tag. Okay, so this form tag has an action that is the endpoint that we want to visit after someone submits the form, and the method is a get method. So these are kind of a little intermediate kind of thing. So you'll be learning in detail later on. So just know that the whenever we want to use a form, suppose a contact form in your website, suppose you're building some kind of product and you want to gather people's feedback on how the product is working or anything, any problems. If they have faced any problems, you can let them know you, so that you can improve your product. Okay, so this can be done using a um, form tag in HTML. So inside the form tag you have an input tag. Okay, so this input tag corresponds to this box. Okay, so this box is taking some kind of input, suppose anything. So I just randomly type something, and it is taking the input, whatever I type as an input in this box. Okay, so the next one is the input type submit. Okay, so if we specify this type as submit, it will automatically show this button here. Okay, so if I type the value is search, if I put any kind of value, suppose click me, it will change to click me. Okay, so this is a basic example of how HTML forms work. All right, so we have looked at many different HTML tags. Now we'll be looking at how to style the tags. Okay, so from the next example onwards, we can see that we'll be using some kind of styles. Okay, to style our web page, because it is looking very simple as of now, right? There are no colors, there are no not much activities going on, right? So we'll be changing that right now. Okay, so for the next example we'll be going to this one. So you can see my earlier on we were seeing text that started on the left side of the web page, right? But for this example we see that the text is aligned to the center, right? So how is it working? We'll see. We'll look at the code. Okay, so the title is called CSS example, which is showing here. In the body tag we can see there's a new tag called header. Okay, so we haven't seen this one before. So heading tag is responsible for showing any kind of headings in your website. Okay, so inside this heading tag we have a name of a person, John Doe. Let's change it to my name. Okay, all right, so this will be replaced. Okay, so this is the actual size. So I've just changed the name to my name. Okay, so this is having the header tag. So inside the heading tag, header tag, we are seeing a style. So whenever you specify style is equal to some kind of styles, you can specify whatever you want. So for in my case, I have specified font size. So this is a CSS attribute that you can use to change the size of your font. Okay, so font size is equal to 100 pixels. Okay, so we can use pixel values here. So 100 pixels, for 100 pixels it is this much bigger. Okay, so if I want to make it smaller, I can just reduce it to suppose 60 pixels and the text becomes smaller. Okay, and the next property is text align. So if I want to align my text to the center, I'll just have to specify text align center. Okay, so this will center my text on the website. So if I put right here, the text is going to the right. Okay, so I'll just change it to center, and the text will be on the center. Okay, so this is the basics of HTML style, CSS styling. Okay, The next tag we'll be looking at is the main tag. So this is one more new tag. We haven't seen these before also. So the main tag has a text, welcome to my homepage. So suppose I'm building a portfolio and I want to put welcome to my homepage so that people can see, or everyone can see this. Okay, so uh, you'll notice that the welcome to my homepage text is blue in color, right? So it is, how is it blue? It used to be black, right? So I have specified in my style uh, attribute, I have specified the color is blue. If I want to make this suppose red, I'll just specify red and the text will change to red. Okay, and the text align is center, which is why the text is appearing on the center of the web page. All right, so next this is one new tag, it is called footer. So headers and footers are the are the tags that we use to make headings and footers. Okay, so headers are the tags that is used on the absolute top of your document or your website, and the footer is used on absolute bottom of your website. Okay, so this portion you can use header to specify anything as heading, and this portion you can suppose whenever, if you have read documents before, you can see you'll see the page number here, right? So if this is the, suppose this is the 5th page, you'll see the 5 number appear at the bottom of the page, right? So that is called the footer. So in HTML we have this footer tag that we want to specify to use to specify footers in our website. Okay, so we use footer and we specify the style, which is the same as above. And I've just this is just an example. I've just written copyright and the copyright symbol, so we can print symbols also in our website. So this symbol, this is not a plain text, this is a symbol, right? So if we want to specify any kind of symbols like this, we can use a special number that is accepted by HTML, and this 169 number represents this copyright symbol. Okay, and after that I'll just change my name to this. Okay, so copyright Cabin Salguero. So that means I have the copyright of this web page, right? So we just looked at the basics of CSS styling. All right, let's look at a different one. As you can see, the page looks similar to the previous one, but this has a quite a few differences in the HTML, in the actual programming we did here. Okay, so here you can see the I'll just show these two at the same time. So this is the current one that we're showing here, and the previous one right here on the right. Okay, so yeah, so this one, these two pages are looking similar to each other in the actual web page, but there are some differences. So on the earlier example, we were specifying the styles in the tag itself. Okay, so tag name, then style equal to whatever style we want to apply. But now it is looking kind of clumsy, right? So there are a lot of things going on, and it is quite confusing to see styles and head tag HTML tags uh, at the same portion, right? So that is why we can separate these things using CSS classes. Okay, so instead of just writing style and putting the styles in here, we can write class, and this centered is corresponding to this. Okay, so we can just separate the stylings from our HTML markup. Okay, so that our text, our program is looking cleaner. Okay, so this is cleaner than this, right? So this is having a lot of text going on here, but this is looking a lot cleaner. Okay, so we are separating the styles into this portion. Okay, and we are just specifying the class name. Instead of using these class name properties, we can also specify these styles on the actual tags. So this is not a HTML tag. Okay, so there is no tag called centered, there is no tag called large, there is no tag called medium and all. But if we want to style the tags directly without specifying any class name, we can directly do that. So here in our body portion, we have header, main and footer, right? So in our header, if we want to apply styles directly, we can just specify header and apply the style. So for instance, on this example, I have put font size to large. So I haven't specified any kind of class names, right? I can directly style the tags by specifying the tag names here. All right, so this is a lot cleaner than this, right? So the next example, I'm just showing how the standard way of programming works. So this next example is a lot cleaner than the previous example, right? So on the right, I have opened the previous example, and on the left, I have the new example. Okay, so I have moved all these styles to a different file, and I'm linking to that file. Okay, so that my HTML document is looking a lot cleaner. Okay, these are some of the intermediate tricks that you can apply. All right, next we'll be looking at JavaScript. So we have seen how to input text in your web page, how to color your text, how to create tables, how to input images and all. Now let's look at how to put interactivity in your website, right? So as of now, all of your web pages are static. That means there is no activity going on, right? So you can just see this, see whatever you have put on your website, and there is no button to be clicked and nothing interactive. Okay, so that is why we use a language called JavaScript to add interactivity to our website. Okay, so on this example, I'll just open this one. Do you have any doubts in the previous examples?
No, sir.
Is everybody understanding?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Isa?
Yes.
Okay. Melody?
Yes.
Okay.
All right, it could have been a lot better if we could just open your computer and program as I explained, but it is not possible on online streaming. So I hope you'll be trying that on your own later.
Okay, so if you want to try it at home also, okay, so what you can do is you have the link to our Facebook group.
Yes, sir.
Does everybody have? So out there, it's also going live stream, so you can check out this class, okay, after this class is done. Okay, so for you guys to practice at home, is that
So,
okay?
Yes, sir.
One thing I would like to add on here, like suppose you want to try something on Kabinil's screen, like suppose you want to change the alert hey to your name or somebody else's name, you can suggest it on the chat box, or you can say it verbally, and Kabinil will make the changes and run it. So that is one way we can do this thing as well.
Absolutely.
Okay. Yeah. Okay.
All right, so we'll be looking at this next example where we are using JavaScript to show an alert. Okay, so what is an alert? We'll be looking at that right now. Okay, so let's look at the actual code first. suppose I'll write my name and I'll hit the submit button. It will show a box. Okay, so this is kind of an alert box that shows up on your screen. So it is saying, hey Kabian Talukdar. Okay, so if anyone of you want to show your name, you can just tell me your name. Anyone? I'll just put one of your names. Okay, so you see, hey Isakaru. Okay, is the spelling right? Okay, it's right. Yeah. So how is it happening? So we're using some kind of interactivity in our website now, right? So there is a button, the users can click this button and there will be some interaction going on. Okay, so this is done through JavaScript. All right, so we have a form that is similar to the Google search form we saw before. So this form has a method. This is a method, right? So whenever we submit the form, this method is getting called. Okay, so this method is calling the show alert method on top. Okay, so whenever we use JavaScript, we specify this script tag, and inside we can write any kind of function. Okay, so this is a function that we're printing. So on submit show alert. So this is calling this function, and we're taking the name from the input box and the value, and I'm putting it into a new variable. So these are called variables. So, and then I'm using the inbuilt alert method to call the alert box. Okay, so if I put hey to change the hey to hello, the next time I submit this form, suppose this will be changed to hello. Okay, this is how JavaScript works. You specify the functions using script tags, and you write the functions inside the script tag, and you call the function inside the HTML markup. Okay, the next one is going to be kind of fun. So let's go to the 10th example. Okay, so this is the 10th example, and there we can see there are 3 buttons. So R, G, and B. Okay, so R means red, green, and blue. Okay, so if we just click on the button, we'll see the background color is changing to red.
Okay, so sir, once can I add on something?
Yep, sure.
Okay, so you see this color. So how many of you have seen websites? Isakaru, have you seen websites? Have you logged
Yes.
on? Okay, so you realize there are different colors in websites, right? So this is how you actually put color into websites. Okay.
And this is totally dynamic. If you want to add, suppose in place of red, you want orange. So you can just write the color to orange and it will change to orange. So suppose the red, I'll just change to orange and the color will go to orange like that. If you want yellow, be yellow. So let's look at the code on actually how it's working. Okay, so this is my HTML code. This is the body tag, and there I have built a section where I have 3 buttons. Okay, we can add buttons in our website using the button tag. Okay, so this is you will not be able to understand this at the first glance, so I'll be just explaining in not in detail. I'll just explain it briefly, but I just want to show you what JavaScript means, right? You do not have to learn the programming right now. You just need to learn what is JavaScript, how it works, and what it adds to the website. So I'm just selecting the web page, and I'm just adding the background color to this. Okay, whenever you click on the red button, I'm just selecting the whole web page, and I'm specifying the background color and putting it red into the background color. Okay, so that is why it is going to red, green, and blue. This code you will not be able to understand right now, but you just need to understand that JavaScript is working. All right, let's look at the next example. So this was kind of an interesting one. The next example will be on paragraphs. Okay, so I'll be loading the next one. So we can see there is a simple paragraph on the web page, and there is a simple drop down. Okay, so you can click on this and you can see there are multiple values that you can select. Okay, so there are XX large, X large, large, initial, small, extra small, and extra small. Okay, so these are the values that you are getting right now. Okay, so if I change the font size to XX large, the font will become larger. Okay, so this is totally done using JavaScript. So this is dynamic. Okay, so if you put it on X large, it will go a bit smaller. If we want to make the text smaller, suppose XX small, it will be a lot smaller. Okay, so this is being done using JavaScript. So this portion of the select of the font size property, these are coming from this select tag. Okay, so this select tag is showing the different selection options. Okay, so we have option XX large, which is the first one, then we have option X large, which is the second one, and so on. Okay, so these options have different values which are specified using the value property. Okay, so the value is XX large. Okay, the next one is X large, right, like that. And we are specifying the interactivity or the JavaScript code inside the script tag. So we're doing this on we're selecting the this portion of the page using a method of JavaScript called query selector. Then we put select to specify this select tag, and we're listening to the change event. So if anything changes in this portion, we can call a function. So we're changing the style and font size of the whole body when there is a change in this select tag. Okay, so if I put to initial, I'll see that the text size has changed. So that is how the JavaScript is working to dynamically change the size of the text in your web page. All right, the next one is kind of fun. So yeah, so this one, so you can see.
So can just
yeah.
one more thing.
Yeah.
So what is sir trying to say is when you go to these websites, right, Maharnab? Can you
Yes,
hear me?
sir. Yes, sir.
Okay, so when you go to the websites and you actually find some options are there, no? If you want to increase the fonts or decrease the fonts, right?
Yeah.
So sir just now just showed you how the developers behind the scene, how do we actually do this. Okay.
Yes,
So
sir.
again, as a reminder again, if you want to take examples, you can go to Shillong Lajong website. Okay, it's there. Check out, and whatever sir is explaining, you'll better understand how the website is also developed. Okay.
Okay.
Okay. So I suggest you go visit like Shillong website or Shillong Lajong website and all. Check it out, and again watch this video to the Facebook group that we have, and everything will
Yes.
make sense. Okay. Yeah.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Continue.
So the interactivity that I was talking about is this one. You have all visited this website, right? So that is why I'm showing you all this example again and again. Okay. So whenever we type something here and we click on this search button, so this is a button that I was making in my website only. Okay. So this is the same button that I can specify using the button tag in HTML. So on here, on this website, you can click this button and this will take you to a different page, right? So that is the interactivity that JavaScript is helping you to make, right? So all these interactivities, suppose clicking here, all these are done using JavaScript. So you see this text is disappearing and reappearing again. So this is also done in JavaScript. So this is a simple program that is setting the visibility of this text to hidden, and then it is again visible. Okay, so it is taking a second an interval of 1 second, and it will make it disappear and then reappear again. Okay, so this is done using this function. So there is one h1 tag which is saying blink blink, and I'm just targeting the h1 tag, and I'm just setting the style visibility to hidden and visible again and again repeatedly. So that is why it is blinking. It is all done using this simple function only, using JavaScript. Okay. All right. So the next one, you can actually combine these techniques to build really good interactions with your users. Okay. So if you want to later on study about user interface and user experiences and all, you can search on online by typing UI/UX. You'll be seeing these kinds of examples. Okay, so you can do very different kind of you can use very many techniques to add interaction to your websites. It could be a pop-up, or suppose if you visit some kind of magazine websites, you can see whenever you visit the website, there is a pop-up called it will read something like subscribe to our newsletter or something, right? So that is, these all are done using JavaScript. Okay, so the next example is your geolocation. Okay, I'll be explaining what a geolocation is. Just open this, or it looks like I don't have the permission. Okay, so
Can you refresh the page again?
yep.
Yeah, and click on, go to the page and click on the information next to the URL. Click there, and it's allowed. Yeah, reload the page.
For some
let's,
reason,
let's do one thing. We'll use the W3 schools wala thing. I'll give you.
all right. Yep, I can search right here. So quick note, you can use w3schools.com to learn more about these HTML, CSS, and JavaScript and all. Okay, so I'll just quickly browse the JavaScript tag, and all the interactions you see, these are done using JavaScript only. Okay, so there are different topics that you can learn from, where to output syntax, comments, and all. These are all JavaScript programming. Okay.
Kabinal, I have sent the link on the chat. Can use
Right.
to demonstrate the geolocation.
Mhm. Sure. So this website has many built-in programs that you can try yourself. Okay. Why is it not opening? Okay, so it appears here. It seems. So yeah, so you can see this map. So by clicking on this button, the website is loading me this map. Okay, so this is the Google map. This is a service that is provided by Google, and you can use to display any kind of location in your own website by putting Google Maps. Okay, so this geolocation function that I just I'll open the program. This is a piece of JavaScript code that is currently getting me the latitude and longitude of my current uh, location. Okay, so what is latitude and longitude? I'll just search online, and I'll open an image to better explain this. Let's see this image, for example. Okay. All right, this one. you see a globe right here. Okay, so the latitude and longitude are some numbers. Okay, these numbers are used to locate any single point on the surface of this globe. Okay, so anywhere you can track any single position on the globe using latitude and longitude. So latitude are the horizontal lines and longitude are the vertical lines. Okay, so any point, any single point on this globe can be tracked or located using latitude and longitude numbers. Suppose, for instance, let's point to this point. Just look at my cursor. Suppose we want to point this single point. Okay, so I'll just uh, calculate my latitude and go here, and I'll just calculate my longitude and go up. Okay, so that is how I am getting the exact location of my position. Okay, so this is the same thing that is being done on the example I just showed you. So using JavaScript, we can get the position, coordinates, latitude. This will return me the current latitude, and similarly, the position dot coordinates dot longitude will return me the longitude of my current position. So, for instance, I'm at home right now, so it will return the position of my home. Okay, so this will be used this can be used in our map, in the Google Map to pinpoint my location. I hope that is clear to you. And I think that's all I have for today. I'm ready to take any questions from you if you have any thought. Oh, by the way, it is working right now. I don't know why it took long, but this is what the latitude and longitude numbers look like. Okay. So this is the latitude, which is a huge number, right? Actually, it's 26 point some fraction of numbers. So it is the latitude, and this is the longitude. Okay, so using these two numbers, I can track my location anywhere on the earth. Okay, so that is how JavaScript is helping us to get our current position. Okay, so with that, I'd like to conclude my session today. And if you have any doubts, you can just ask me right now.
Okay, thank you, sir.
Yep.
Okay, so any of the students, would they want to ask any question? Please ask sir right now. And again, as a reminder, we will be attaching files where you can check it out after the class or maybe work on your own.
So whatever
Okay.
I've explained in my session today, these codes are available and can be checked by anyone. So I'll be just sending the link to you, and you can download the files and run it on your own computers.
Okay, does anybody want to ask a question?
Kabir,
Yes, sir.
maybe you can also. Oh, sorry, Madam, you continue the question, but I'll just complete one sentence. Kamil, you can
Okay.
introduce the students about open source and free softwares and other like the topics about it, and how and why you are contributing to open source communities.
Yeah.
So this is a term that is used very frequently in software development. So open source means any software that is freely available to public. Okay, so anyone can download, anyone using internet can download those softwares which are open source. Okay, and use for their own benefits. And contributing to the open source community is very large. Okay, so anyone in the world can contribute to these open source programs, and there are some people who are managing those softwares, and they'll be looking at your code or your contribution, and there'll be if any of your code is helpful or any of your contribution is helpful, they will be adding that to the existing software. Okay, so open source is a really powerful tool that people all around the world can use, and it is the most important thing is it is totally free. Okay, that is why it is called open source. And yeah, that's it.
Sir, could you tell the name of the software you used?
Okay, so I am currently using one of Microsoft's software to demonstrate these programs. This is called Visual Studio Code. Okay, so you can download it for free. This is one of the free softwares that Microsoft provides, and this is really powerful. You can program HTML, CSS, JavaScript. You can do many frameworks. Whenever you learn program later on, you can learn about React.js, Vue.js, and all. This can be done in this single software only. So you can also program languages like PHP for your server-side programming and all. So it is also free to download, so you can try it at your home.
Okay, sir. Thank you.
Sir, can you give us more examples of open source softwares, like, and maybe make a comparison between paid softwares and maybe open source softwares, so that the students
Yes. So
can better understand?
yeah, for example, the operating system I am using. So all our computers are running operating system, right? So you have heard about Windows, Linux, Macintosh, and all. So the software I'm using right now is not open source software. Okay, so it is a proprietary software, and you have to actually pay for it in order to be able to use this software. Okay, but uh, the the most popular operating system right now is called Linux. Okay, so the Linux operating system is totally open source, and you can download it for free. So that is the main difference between open source softwares and paid softwares. And the open source community is very large. So all the people around the world can contribute to it. Whereas for the proprietary softwares or the paid softwares, only a handful of people can actually change the code and contribute to it. Okay, so that is the main difference, and that is why open source softwares are very powerful. And and the open source software develops really fast compared to the paid softwares, because there are a lot more workforce behind it. There are a lot many programmers are working at the same time for the open source community compared to the paid softwares. So for example, the Microsoft softwares, some Microsoft softwares or Apple softwares are paid softwares. Okay, so these softwares are accessible only by the paid customers. So these softwares, people cannot add to these softwares easily. So you'll have to be an Apple employee or something, or Apple coder, to be able to contribute to these softwares, or to be able to use these softwares. But the softwares like open source softwares, for example, the VS Code, which is one of Microsoft's open source software, it is free to download. These are softwares where people are actually able to make changes in the codes. Okay, so all people around the world, the very best of the best programmers are making changes to this open source software. So the outcome is the best software you can possibly get.
Okay.
And like to add on to what Kabinil told, there is a difference between free softwares and open source softwares as well. So there are some software, suppose I build a software and I can put it online and say that it's free for everybody to use. That is fine. But open source means I will upload the software. I'll also put the code that I wrote to make the software.
Yeah.
And I'll tell you that, you can use the code, you can modify it, change the logo, put your own branding. You can create a different product out of it and sell it yourself. It's free to use commercially as well.
Yeah.
So that's like a very strong advantage of open source softwares, because the code that I put online, everybody can view it. If they find any mistake, they will correct it. And there will be a lot of contributors contributing to the software, and the outcome will be very good. Like the software will be very powerful.
That is why we have many versions of Linux operating systems, right? So people are actually downloading the source code, and they are customizing to their own needs and producing different kinds of OS. Suppose Linux has the base operating system is Linux, which is open source and free, and you can download the source code and you can customize the system to your needs and upload it so that people can download your software also. So that is the main advantage of open source software. You can build on someone else's code and try to improve on it.
Okay,
Yeah,
I think
Marla, you can actually continue with your question. You raised your hand and I stopped you in between. Sorry for that.
No, sir, it's completed.
Oh, okay, perfect.
okay. Does
Now,
anybody else have a question or would like to say something?
Nangroy, I don't know. It's Nangroy's name. Does she?
Melody.
Or Melody? Okay. It's written Nangroy here. Okay, Melody, do you have any questions?
No.
Are you clear?
Yes.
Okay, good. What about Isa? Clear. Okay, Ryan has muted. Anyways. Mahanab, do you have any more questions to ask?
No, ma'am.
No. Okay.
So when you
Prabandha?
sorry,
Yeah.
continue practicing HTML and start to build your own website, if you get stuck anywhere, we are available to help you. You can email us, you can message us. There is a Facebook group especially for the Innovation Hub at Shillong. I'm sending you the link on the chat. You can comment there and we will respond as soon as possible. We'll attend to your queries there as well.
No.
Okay, just check out the chat and the link will be provided there. Okay, so join our group and you'll find updates up there, and whatever material that is available to us, we'll give it to you. Okay.
Okay. I think nobody has any questions anymore, right?
Yes, ma'am.
Are you all tired after
No,
1 hour?
ma'am.
No. Okay. But we only have a 1 hour session. Okay, for each and every workshop, we have a 1 hour session. So for some of you, maybe Kabyanal might be a little faster, and it might be hard for you also to, to grasp whatever he's been teaching or whatever he's taught. But like Sir Banjop and Sir Kabyanal said, you can also check the link on, you've been provided the link, you've been given a link on Facebook, so you can browse the internet and check there. Okay.
Yeah, today's session's main idea was to provide the basic understanding of how these technologies work. You don't have to we don't need to memorize any code from today's session, because it's a common fact. We are developers in general, and we cannot remember all the programming codings. Okay, we just need to remember the concept, and whenever we remember the concept, we can just go back to the programming. We can search online for the code. We can look for different resources. We can look for videos. You just need to remember the concept of how things are working. If I was able to provide, then I'm more than happy for today's session.
Yes, sure. You're very it's very kind of you also to, sir, to teach us a lot today, especially, the Rubik's Cube thing from the beginning, even though the session has not started, but still you've given us a lot of information about that, and we're looking forward to meet you soon. All right. Thank you so much, sir, and the participants as well. Yeah.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Okay, we'll see you again in the next session then, everyone. Bye-bye. And just a small reminder, we'll be having another session today. So Ms. Grisha, would you like to specify more about the timings and all?
Yes, the timings will be the same from 3:30 to 4:30. You just have to join as usual. The meeting ID and the password is given to you on the on your WhatsApp numbers. I forwarded them to you, and I'm looking forward to all the participants to participate today. Yes, before I forget, I would like to wish all of you a happy World Environment Day. Today's World Environment Day, and I hope that the 3:30 to 4:30 session will be learning a lot more about the environment with Ma'am Monica Desai. Okay, looking forward to meet you again at 3:30 p.m. to 4:30. Have a nice day and take care. Stay safe. Bye.